Hey, what's up, guys? It's DFS Dudes. I'm doing another video here for Roto Beasts. We're going to do a Monday recap. Before we get into anything, make sure that you go to YouTube and you subscribe to the channel so you can watch the entirety of this video. This is the way this video is going to go today. I'm going to recap the 5 picks at each position that I gave to you guys. I'm going to get into a little breakdown on a couple of things I gave you in the video. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of insight on how I go about building my GPP lineups and how I go about making swaps, kind of one-player swaps like I was telling you guys to do on the videos last week. At quarterback, I gave you Kirk Cousins, Cam Newton, Andy Dalton, and I said I'm not picking Andy Dalton because I like to pick bad players. I really thought with the firing of the offensive coordinator and combining that with the fact that I thought they'd be playing from behind, there'd be a lot of opportunities for Dalton to throw the ball, and that did work out. They were playing with the lead. Matt Ryan and Matthew Stafford. Matt Ryan and Matthew Stafford almost were really big plays. 3 interceptions for Matt Ryan knocked his score down by 6 and kept him under 20 points. And the Golden Tate non-touchdown would have put Matthew Stafford right at about 20.5, 21.0 points. Le'Veon Bell, Dalvin Cook, who had a huge day at 25.4. Tyrone Montgomery, he only got 9. It was a really disappointing showing for him, especially playing from behind. And one of the most frustrating things about that game, if you watched it, was watching Aaron Rodgers not check the ball down to him and take a sack. There was 7 or 8 times where Montgomery was the check down out in the flat or in the hook to curl area beneath the linebackers. And Aaron Rodgers went ahead and took a sack looking downfield to throw the ball instead of just checking it down, which is not like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers usually takes that check down a lot. So there was some missed opportunity there. Kareem Hunt, Kareem Hunt was having an okay day. He had about 10.5 points. I texted one of my buddies I could really use a Kareem Hunt touchdown, but I'm running out of time. And they come out of the 2-minute warning, and he breaks a 69-yard touchdown to the house, and he's 24.8 points. Marshawn Lynch was a guy that, my point on him was you're looking for 12 to 15 carries. They're not going to give him the ball more than that, and you're looking for a red zone opportunity for him to punch it in. The red zone opportunity came. The goal line situation came. They had the ball first and goal, I believe at the 4-yard line. They chose to throw it 3 times and then kick a field goal. So there was no opportunity for him to get a carry to punch it in there. Wide receiver A.J. Green, huge day, 22.1 points. Devin Funchess almost pays off value at 7.8. Kelvin Benjamin's the big disappointment with the injury. That's football. You have no control over that. Things happen. Guys get tackled. Guys get hit. It's a violent sport. It doesn't mean Kelvin Benjamin was a bad play. Kelvin Benjamin was a great play. It was the right play because of the secondary he was going against and the opportunity that he was going to see in the passing game. Unfortunately, he got hurt. There's nothing you can do about that. There's nothing you can do to control that. Just keep in mind you're going to make plays that are the right plays. Be process orientated when you do this. Make the right play, and don't look back when the guy gets hurt because there's absolutely nothing you can do about injuries. Adam Thielen, 12.3 was a pretty solid play, and Keenan Allen just a touchdown puts him at 14.6. He only gets you 8.6. Not a great play. But considering if you would have had Keenan Allen over Kelvin Benjamin, it would have been an extremely good play just because you would have been under-owned on Keenan Allen and there was over-ownership on the injury to Kelvin Benjamin. So, it's kind of hard to say that Keenan Allen didn't actually pay off because he would have helped you quite a bit in tournaments based on the ownership difference between Benjamin and Keenan Allen. Tight end was ugly across the board. I gave you Kyle Rudolph. He got 0.9. Jordan Reed did not play. Zach Ertz at 13.5. He did get a touchdown. He was a nice play. Eric Ebron only got 1.9. Missed red zone opportunity. He had a drop in the end zone. Jack Doyle at 0.6. And Jared Cook at 12.3. Jared Cook ended up being my top tight end. When Jordan Reed did not play, Jared Cook was a guy I liked early. I liked him last Sunday night, actually, when I built my first initial lineup. And I had him about 70% of my total GPP plays. And at 12.3 points was a real solid play. Made a real nice play down there in the red zone to get the ball over the pylon. I was extremely excited when that happened. Saw a lot of my lineups shoot up the board at that time. One thing I gave you guys was I said the Indianapolis and Cleveland game had the potential to have a lot of fireworks in it. Unfortunately, the chalk in that game did not pay off, and the chalk busted. The chalk was Jack Doyle, and the chalk was Rashard Higgins. Jack Doyle with 0.6 bust, and Higgins 2 catches on 6 targets for 10 yards, another bust, especially for all the fireworks that did take place in that game. The lines last night were 106.68 and $5 double ups to cash. 112.18 got you paid in the $1 million tournament, the $7 $1 million tournament, and 100.78 was the $5 50-50 line. So with that, let me get into what my cores that I built based off the top 5 plays at each position. So I built 6 cores, 3 Cousins cores and 3 Andy Dalton cores. I had limited exposure to Cam Newton, Matthew Stafford, and Matt Ryan. My Matt Ryan lineups, I just kind of couldn't really fit everything I wanted to fit with Ryan because of his price, and because I really was all over Kirk Cousins all week long. I thought Kirk Cousins was going to be a top 5 play, and I was the most heavily invested in Cousins. So the easiest swap for me was to go down to Andy Dalton because I like the pairing of Andy Dalton and the game flow. I liked him paired with AJ Green, and AJ Green was a guy like Le'Veon Bell that I was going to lock in the majority of my lineups. So the first core was Cousins, Bell, Hunt, AJ Green, and Cook. And that got you 104.8 just off that core. So, you're right at the cash line if you play that core. Kirk Cousins, Le'Veon Bell, Dalvin Cook, AJ Green, and Jared Cook was the second core I built. That got you 105.4. That core's got you, almost in double ups. It's got you cashing in 50-50s, and you're real close to cashing in the $1 million tournament. The third core, Cousins, Hunt, Cook, Green, and Cook. And that got you 111.4 off that core, and you're just about cashing in the $1 million tournament, and you're clearly in the money in the other 2 cash game tournaments. And then what I did was I swapped down Cousins down to Andy Dalton, and then I would upgrade, like at a $6,500 wide receiver, I would upgrade. Or I would pair another receiver from the same game instead of, I used a lot of Funchess yesterday. Instead of Funchess, I wanted exposure, so I would pair Matt Ryan with the wide receiver number 3, and I put Taylor Gabriel in there. Gabriel had an okay day. But what you want to do is you want to look at games you're trying to target as far as the spread goes and the over and under. You look at game flow based off the spread and then the over and under if that's a game you're going to target. The 2 highest games on the board yesterday for over and under were the Raiders and Washington. And one thing that I just never got on Derek Carr. I know a lot of people did. His ownership was decent. I never got on Carr because I was so highly on Cousins, and I looked the number one thing I looked at was the Jets. The Jets threw the ball all over the Raiders, and going forward in the passing game, I believe the Raiders are a team you can target. But that kind of kept me off of Derek Carr and really kept me on the other 2 quarterbacks that I had the majority of my ownership in, and that was Cousins and Dalton. So, you want to build these cores, and when you build these cores, you want to make sure that the one thing you keep intact is the core. Keep the core intact, and then now you find price points. And the second point that I made to you guys was there was a group of receivers at $7,500, and there was a group of receivers at $6,500. And you wanted to build lineups and then swap those guys out. Now, how do you do this? The first thing that you need to do is you need to figure out what your budget is on a weekly basis. If you're a $100 a week player, make sure you stick to the system. And the system is simple. Make sure that you put half your money in cash with the cash lineup that RotoBeast is giving you. Make sure that half your money goes in that. And then the other half you're going to put into GPPs. If you're playing with $100 a week, there's nothing wrong with that. But don't sell yourself short. That means you've got $50 to play with in GPPs. Don't get in $7 tournaments, or don't get in a $33 tournament and then two $7 entries and think that, I'm going to put my $33 lineup and I'm going to also put that same lineup in a $7. There's no diversity there. You're putting all your eggs in one basket. You don't have any opportunity. If you have no room for a bust, no room at all. So my recommendation to the $100 player is there's a $2 tournament that has 25 max entries in it, right? If I'm playing with $100, I'm going to build 25 lineups. I'm going to build myself 3 to 6 cores, and I'm going to swap players in and out. And that's $50. Then I'm going to take my other $50 and I'm going to put it in RotoBeast cash game lineup. Now, if the cash game lineup hits, my GPP plays are gravy. I don't have to worry about anything. If I don't make $1 in GPP plays, I break even for the week. The system works. The second point is don't spread yourself thin on GPP plays. Get diversity. Build cores, swap players in and out. It's the only chance you're ever going to have if you're going to go up the board and have a chance to take down a GPP. You have to have exposure. You have to take risks. If you're playing cash with half your budget, those are the conservative plays. Those are the popular plays. Those are the chalk plays. That lineup is constructed completely different than a GPP play. A GPP play, you cannot make money in GPPs, and you will lose money, and you will have to redeposit often if, one, your ratio is off. If you're playing 75% of your money on a weekly basis in GPPs and you're paying 25% of it in cash, you will lose money. I guarantee you will. The second point to that is don't sell yourself short on your entries. Don't think that I've got $50 this week and I'm going to take 7 chances at the $1 million tournament. That's great. You know what? Maybe one of them out of 16 weeks goes big and you think, man, I made $500 this week off one entry. Man, I was really close, and if I only would have had this player, I probably would have won the million. Listen, there's 300,000 entries in this. There's a ton of guys like me that got max entries in that tournament, and you've got 7, right? My chances of winning it as compared to yours are better, but my chances still aren't great. All I've got on you is diversity, right? So use your budget wisely. The $2 tournament for the $100 a week player, that is a great tournament. It gives you 25 entries. Everybody in the tournament can only have 25 entries, so it's equal across the board as far as exposure goes, and it's a matter of you building a better core than somebody else does. Hey guys, later on this week we'll have another video where we'll preview this upcoming week. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I look forward to talking to you guys later on. See ya.